In a bid to profile Light's behavior, Elle challenges him to a game of tennis. Elle asks him some questions regarding the Kira case and invites him to help in the investigation. The two then receive news that Soichiro Yagami has had a heart attack and is in the hospital. Light promises to his father that he will make sure Kira is caught and executed for making him suffer. On the way out, Elle confronts and scrutinizes Light, still uncertain whether or not he is Kira. Light attempts a bluff and demands to be placed in a prison cell without television for 1 month to prove his innocence. Elle is satisfied but curious that Light should offer this proposition. Meanwhile, television station Sakura TV receives audio tapes from an anonymous person claiming to be Kira. While Light is looking outside the window of his house in the afternoon, Elle and his group are discussing of Naomi Misura's death. If they want to investigate it, they should separate it from the Kira case and should use sketches instead of actual photos. Out of the team, since her body is not found, Aizawa is quick to believe that she's dead. Elle doesn't buy this as he finds it odd that her body is not found. Wadari arrives with news in watching Sakura TV. As they do so, they notice that Kira has Sakura TV hostage and started killing off the newscasters. Elle realizes of how Kira wanted to spread the message around the world, so he instructed the team to stop this broadcast. However, their efforts are in vain as none of Aizawa's contacts in the station have their phones on, and as Matsuda picks up on the receptionist, nobody's answering. Yukita runs off to Sakura TV on his own. Soichiro is still recovering at the hospital as Sachiko turns off the TV, saying that news is not really good for his health. He urges her to turn it back on, despite the recovery. Yukita arrives at the station and tries to get a security guard to open the door, but he refuses, so Yukita pulls out a gun. But before he could shoot, Yukita started to have a heart attack and dies in front of the station. The news of his death reaches the team as Aizawa is angered by this. Light meets with Elle and the detectives. Meaning to test Light's analytical skills, Elle has him listen to the recordings confiscated by the team to determine if there are any clues in the reader's voice. In this way, Elle concludes that Light cannot be Kira. The team then broadcasts a recording made by Elle and Light to trick the second Kira, Misa Amain, into replying. Misa unwittingly reveals important details about the properties of the Death Note and Shinigami when she responds, and Light begins to panic. In her reply, Misa demands that the first Kira meet her in person. Shocked and wanting to pursue this lead, the investigation team formulates a plan, while Light decides what to do. Detective Tota Matsuda and Light volunteer to go to Aoyama to investigate on the date mentioned in the journal entry. Light intends to find out who the second Kira is, and in order to keep his identity unknown to the Shinigami following Misa, he gets a group of his friends to surround them while they walk. Possessing the Shinigami eyes, however, Misa finds out that Kira is Light Yagami because his lifespan is the only one she can't see. Although Misa Amain is indeed an idiot, she seems to have played this one well. After all, she even managed to thoroughly disguise herself. Later, Misa confirms to the investigation team that she has found the real Kira, as per her usual idiocy. The team decides to change their approach and try to reason with her. They release a television broadcast condemning Kira as a heartless murderer who will kill anyone who discovers his identity. Furthermore, they offer to lessen the severity of the punishment the second Kira will face if she reveals information about the real Kira. Misa ignores this, finds Light, and explains that she tracked him down because she loves him. After Light introduces Misa to Ryuk, the two discuss their plans to get rid of Elle. Taking advantage of the situation and of Misa's love for him, Light concludes that he can use her to mislead Elle, while furthering his plans for a better world. Misa's Shinigami, Rem, however, threatens to write down Light's name in her own death note if Misa's safety is compromised. In the meantime, Elle is thrown off the trail by the second Kira and is confused by the new audio tapes purposely denouncing the police's attempt to make the first Kira appear as a pariah. Elle concludes that the two Kiras might have met and are working towards the same goal. Worried at the prospect that he might be murdered, as he is convinced the two Kiras have met, Elle demands that in the event of his death, Light should be arrested. Later, Light and Elle meet each other outside college. Much to the anger and frustration of Light, Misa appears and converses with the two. Minutes after Misa leaves, Light receives the news from Elle that she has been arrested on grounds of being the second Kira. Misa appears to be blindfolded and tied to a chair, while L instructs Watari to torture her to obtain information. A few days later, Misa relinquishes ownership of her death note, thus erasing her memories of its existence in a foggy forest. Light relinquishes ownership of the death note to Remington. At the same time, the investigation team are still not getting anything from Misa. Just then, Light enters the room and begins to confess that he might be Kira unknowingly, so he requested to be confined for 50 days. His father is unhappy about this, so he requested to be confined as well. While in confinement, Light says to Ryuk about, "Get rid of it." This is a signal for him to leave. As he does, Light suddenly has no memory of what he's doing and yells at L that he's not Kira in a last bid to determine if Light and Misa are the two Kiras. L and Soichiro stage a stunt in which Light's father attempts to kill Light and then himself out of shame. Seeing Light and Misa's reactions to it, L intervenes and announces that he no longer suspects them of being Kira, although he is still suspicious over the fact that Misa's DNA was found on the audio tapes. Misa is released, but Light continues working on the Kira case. L and Watari move the investigation team's headquarters to a new building inside the city. Elsewhere, Rem speaks to a mysterious businessman about the death note. 8 businessmen then plan the next murder Kira will commit in order for the Yotsuba group to excel in the market. At the start of another workday, Aizawa arrives at the new building. He has trouble with a metal detector at the entrance. Even if he has removed all the metallic items, he's still not getting passed through. Watari watches this from a monitor and comments that he'll have to get used to this. Only after Aizawa takes off his pants is he allowed to enter the building. In the main room, he, Matsuda, and Soichiro watch surveillance of Light, L, and Misa in another room. Misa is annoyed by L's constant presence. L is feeling demoralized by the lack of leads in the Kira case, as Light has proven his innocence thus far. Light is angered by L's attitude after what L put him and Misa through, and the two end up coming to blows, which Matsuda interrupts by calling them. The team discovers that Kira's killings now seem to be connected to a local corporation called Yotsuba. At Yotsuba, the 8 members consult each other and send a message to the NPA that Kira will spare politicians if the police stop pursuing him. The NPA agrees, and the Kira task force must give up their jobs to continue working with L. Aizawa is torn, as he has a family to provide for. Watari informs them that there is a trust set aside for the families of the task force members, but L deliberately withheld that information. Disgusted with L, Aizawa storms out. L introduces the team to 2 new members, Iber, a con man, and Weedy, a thief and lockbreaker. They will help to infiltrate Yotsuba. Meanwhile, Aizawa meets his family in the park and breaks down in tears.